Workshop here, and welcome back to yet another episode of Coast Aquarium, taking full advantage of the aquatic pack now that I'm a few days in. Today you can probably guess what we have in store based on these statues, but before we get into what's behind there, I did a little bit of holiday set dressing with the Christmas season coming up. Just some pretty subtle, basic decorations, sort of what you'd expect from a zoo, or aquarium in this case. But yeah, we also replaced the sea lion art-shaped statues with the actual seal statues we got from the pack, and put some hats on them. And then in the entrance building, there are these beautiful pine and pine cone garlands that I kind of draped over all of the signage, just for a little extra holiday flair. And then more hats on the whale skeleton, some more garlands, and then as we get into the main elevator plaza, we get a nice medium-sized Christmas tree, and then more garlands, a little wreath, and then a mini tree inside the elevator room itself. I really like the kind of craftsman, rustic vibe all of this holiday scenery has. It's one thing I can appreciate from the Arctic pack, besides like the doll sheep, which is definitely one of my favorite animals in the game. But then towards the Otter Creek Challenge Trail, as you can see, we put more hats on all the otter statues. I like how I kind of positioned them, so like this one's a little normal, but then this one's like falling off. It's kind of on his tail, and then these cute little logs under the sign. And then after that, we have what I've been working on all weekend, which is the La Brea Cannery. Let's adjust the lighting again. There we go. So this building is based on the entrance to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which actually used to be an old sardine cannery back in the day, but was since repurposed. So I kind of wanted to do the same sort of approach to theming, just because I thought it was a super effective use of old structures, especially with the kind of theme of like a fish processing plant turned into a sort of more space dedicated to nature itself and the fish. So La Brea Cannery is named after a few different things: the La Brea Tar Pits, the La Brea Bakery, and the La Brea Street or Avenue, I forget, in Los Angeles. And I just think it's a super this is gonna make sense, but the word just kind of gives me a California vibe, you know? I think it either means the tar or tar pits in Spanish, but I don't know. I just thought it was a cool name. But then we have Portola brand sardines, which is an actual sign at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and I took the Ricey sans serif font and kind of edited it to be a little more old-fashioned, with the sort of curves at the end of each letter. Or not at the end, but the ends of each letter. And then some more barrel planters up front, and you can probably guess what's inside based on the signs behind. And then before we go inside, I also wanted to do some full like HVAC backstage stuff with Vihoha's ladder, which I kind of tore up and repurposed for all of these catwalks. I'm not really sure why I did this. I guess I just kind of wanted to emphasize the industrial feel of this area. So in addition to these mill stacks, which are just the plastic cylinder art shape with the tree cage plunked on top and recolored gray. And then obviously the cute little seagull sign from the aquatic pack. I kind of snuck these around the aquarium once I really started getting into the scenery. I think it'll be cool to show these off more. Or not, and you guys can just find them and let me know. But as we go inside, obviously no exhibit yet, or at least no animal exhibit, but I did add some sort of info areas about seals and other pinnipeds. So this is supposed to be an elephant seal skull, but I just took Carlos's cave bear skull and then edited it down just to look more like an elephant seal skull, because you'd be surprised at how similar they look, even though they are pretty closely related, but not many people know that. And then this parenthetical is supposed to be a walrus tusk. So this would be kind of about the like really big pinnipeds, so like elephant seals and walruses and stuff like that. And then a little family tree. What are pinnipeds in relation to other carnivores? I think they're most closely related to bears and dogs. I could be wrong. And then seals under siege. This would be about like the sort of endangered seals in the world. Or pinnipeds for that matter, so like Hawaiian monk seals, and I'm trying to think of another one, because I know the Mediterranean monk seal is extinct unfortunately, but yeah. And then this floor is made of the girders, and I kind of just interrupted the sort of parallel nature of the lines, and then also sort of randomly painted the structure just to give it some different colors to make it seem more organic. And then on this side we have the donor wall with a little fire alarm button, and then some more of my custom trash cans and some custom benches, and then these little taxidermy seals. Well, they're not supposed to be taxidermy, but that's pretty much what I use them for these days, are by ZZ. There's a sea lion, some gray seals, and a little elephant seal. And then as we hop outside, this is the main part of the show, the actual exhibit for the gray seals. There are no gray seals in California, so I'm just going to pretend these are harbor seals. They look pretty much identical. I honestly can't tell the difference. I think the skull shape is a little different. Gray seals are kind of more boxy, but you couldn't really tell from here. If they put these out, the devs, if they put these out and called them harbor seals, I wouldn't really notice. They're being very acrobatic today. That's cool. But yeah, I really love how this came out. I'm absolutely in love with the fake rockwork set that we've gotten from this pack. I've gotten a lot of mileage out of it. The technique I used for this was just to kind of make one blueprint and then just kind of twist it and break it and spread it around all over this whole area. And I think it looks just the right amount of fake, not too sort of concrete-y, but a little very Disney, you know, how they kind of use, I was going to say flexicolor, what's the word? Fiberglass to make sort of big rock formations that look very charming, but not too fake either. And it is 4 meters deep, so they can dive. No foliage in the water itself. That's kind of a rule of thumb for modern pinniped habitats, is have concrete and stone and glass and concrete and whatever, but no plants in the water, because there's sort of a health risk there. But as you can see, I added some moss and some succulents on the rocks just for some little more naturalistic texture. And I think from above it looks amazing. I looked at a lot of different pinniped habitats, Cincinnati Zoo, Milwaukee County Zoo, Los Angeles Zoo, just to sort of nail down the trends each one has, just for sort of the maximum amount of convincingness. That's a word. But yeah, and then for the watercolor itself, I added a little plaster bottom and colored it like bright green, which you can't really tell from here just because the watercolor is so like strong in this new update. But then at the bottom, or sort of the underwater portion, I recolored the rocks to be a dark blue, just so it kind of looks like you can tell like where the rock is dry and where the rock is wet. And I just think it's sort of a really cool look. Because if it was tan all the way down, it might not be as convincing, just because the shade would be a little too consistent for my liking. And there's a little, I didn't like these at first. I thought they were a little too cartoony, but they needed some extra land area. In addition to this island and the land area, I wanted to put in a little buoy platform, which they do interact with occasionally, and then a little rotation line feeder, which they unfortunately can't use. But this whole cove area was based on the Monterey Bay Aquarium. It kind of, in the actual aquarium, this isn't an exhibit, it's just tide pools that you can sort of tour around if you have a special appointment. But I don't know, I just thought it kind of looked cool as a sea lion habitat, and I think Finding Dory, which also referenced the Monterey Bay Aquarium, sort of has a similar layout. They used this as an exhibit space, so I thought I would too, and it looks really cool. And then I continued the fake rockwork all the way out into the bay. I'm not really sure why, just because it would be real rock at this point, but I don't know. I just really like how they look in general, even outside of an exhibit context, so I will definitely be using these for more than just exhibits. I think it looks sort of natural, but sort of a idealistic natural, where it's very clean, it's very pristine looking. I like it. I do. And then continuing the backstage, I did a full holding pool and backstage parking and trash container for the seal exhibit. I'll probably maintain this amount of backstage detail throughout the zoo aquarium, just because it's going to be pretty small compared to my other builds, so might as well go all out with the detail. And yeah, some little water towers. I broke down the filtration pump and just kind of spread around the pipes around this whole structure just so it didn't look too plunked down. And a little staircase up towards the holding pool so staff could come in through this cage or this door if the seals were already being held, and they would just come through here. And there's a door on the other side, which I sunk it into the rock, which is a ruble technique where they would paint the front of the door to look like the texture of the rock just so it didn't stand out too much. And the seals themselves would come up through this animal door and into the holding pool, and there's a bunch of shade structure on top of it. This whole layout was directly based on the Los Angeles Zoo, which definitely works for me because I'm currently recreating that. Check out the Griffith Zoo video if you haven't already. But yeah, despite how long this took me, this was definitely going to be a shorter video just because this was just a one-off exhibit. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about the retaining walls. So this is a very hilly area, so in order for this to not collapse in on itself with all the structure, I threw down some retaining walls, which I think really fill out the area very nicely. Before it was just either rocks or plants, and it looked a little too natural for me. I needed some more industrial vibes in this zoo aquarium. I keep saying zoo. It's an aquarium. Gold Coast Aquarium, Wyatt. But yeah, hope you guys like it. I'm thinking next time we will do the Baja California building that Mealy requested. We've kind of built ourselves into a dead end here because we have the path, and this is as far as the guests can go, but the staff can obviously access all this, and I wanted to expand in this direction, so we'll have to adjust the pathing somewhat for that to happen. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.